wrong for not respecting my time and our planning and all this stuff as well. But we're supposed to, well, you know how women are. They, you know, they're taking their time. You want her to look good, don't you? And all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you knew. Because I tell Z, in your mind, it takes you an hour to get ready for anything. If we're going out by ourselves, it takes you an hour to get ready. If you're going out and we're bringing the kids, it takes you an hour to get ready. Like, an hour, it doesn't work. Like, an hour is not your magic number, baby. What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined my co-host, Rozzy and Buff. Fellas, stand up for me. Stand up. Stand up. Let's stand up.
Oh, okay.
Now let's sit back down. For those that didn't see it, we just did the wave. Because apparently that's what's going on right now, is a wave. Now, unfortunately, none of us are wearing red, so a red wave did not happen tonight, but a wave happened. But apparently, a red wave happened last night. And for you guys that don't know, it is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, in the year of our Lord. And we are recording this the day after midterms, the day after Election Tuesday. You guys want to talk about the red wave real quick?
Was there a red wave? I think I posted somewhere else, more like a drop of ketchup.
A hot sauce in my bag.
Yeah. I mean, what happened? Like, you got a very old, unpopular president. He's below 50%. You got inflation. You got divided opinions on what we should be doing about Ukraine and Russia. You got so-called crime getting out of hand. Immigration is always... It was there on a silver platter.
And just historically, exactly. Midterms means a shift.
Yes. So like I'm seeing Republican Congress people deleting tweets that they posted that evening of the election. Like, it's only screenshots of it now. They deleted the post. What happened? What happened?
They felt like we felt in 2016. They were a little too confident. I mean, because everything was aligned, right? Oh, Hillary was supposed to win. There's no way Trump's going to take this election. Mm-hmm. You know, it is what it is. The writing's on the wall. And when things started coming in, because Florida let it off, letting people get excited. And
so,
but what did happen, fellas?
This is what I'm gonna say, because every election, I always see pros and cons for both sides, no matter how overwhelming the results are to one side or the other. And with this one, there were some bright spots for the Republicans. Like, no matter how thin it is, it looks like they are going to have, because we don't have the final results as we record on Wednesday, but it looks like they're going to have majority in the House. But I think the big takeaway from them is they have flipped Florida. Like, Florida was trending red, but it is red. Like DeSantis won Miami-Dade, which is like a heavy populated area in Florida that Democrats depended on. And they have slowly trended more and more towards Republicans to where now they voted for DeSantis. So I think that's a big thing for, because Florida is like the third or fourth most electoral votes in the election. You got California, Texas, and then I think it's either Florida, Ohio, or New York. It's one.
Yeah, I think it's one. I think it's New York. Yeah, it's in top five though. Yeah.
So that's big time for them. And DeSantis, for whatever you think about him, if you're a Republican that has been waiting to get rid of Trump and that whole movement, you may, and I say may because it's still early, you may have your guy in him. And to that, because I know my man Rozzy got a lot to say. We was texting back and forth yesterday. And to that, I think it was somewhat, it's still early, but it was somewhat a rejection of, maybe not a rejection, it's a pushback of Trump. because you look at Kemp in Georgia. Trump went hard after Kemp when he wouldn't flip the election for him in Georgia. Kemp won by 8 points against Abrams. DeSantis won by nearly 20 points. Nearly every candidate that Trump picked lost except for Vance in Ohio. So it has been like, not so fast, MAGA and Trump Nation. Like, we don't like y'all like that no more. So there's a little bit of pushback.
And when you talk about what happened, I think it all comes down to quality of candidate. Like, people aren't voting straight ticket anymore. You saw a lot of split tickets where I'll vote a Republican governor and a Democratic or a Democrat, for a down ticket or something like that. And that is really, really telling when you really think about it. It means that people are actually looking at the candidates now. We always talk about Republicans fall in line. They vote for their candidate. They just kind of do it. And you saw that shift now. And you're seeing a lot of the independent vote swing back towards the Democrats because of that whole MAGA extremism, Republicans and everything like that.
I can't get too excited about that. I see where you're going, but I think it's an anomaly because of Trump. So I think there's Dems, Republicans, and Trump supporters. And so for the first time, the Republicans had to distance themselves because of this anomaly, this one-off. But I think once he's out of the picture, they'll fall back in line. Because kind of what Byron was saying, like you saw these candidates that he was endorsing kind of, fall off. They thought they had it in the bag because the Republicans were not pulling away from him. So this is their chance to pull away from him, which is going to be very interesting over the next 2 years. But it's funny.
I think that, but there were candidates that Trump didn't endorse that still lost, right? That somebody else on the ticket won. And so I think it's not just, you got endorsed by Trump or you're a Trumper, so we're not going to go against or go against you. I really think it was you got to bring a quality candidate.
I say that, but then I look at Herschel Walker.
You look at Herschel Walker. You look at there were a lot of tickets where a Republican governor was running and a Republican congressman or senator was also running. And the person that Trump endorsed, they underperformed versus their Republican counterpart that he didn't pick. So like, again, with Georgia, he did not pick Kemp. Kemp, 54% of the vote. Herschel Walker, who Trump did pick, couldn't get over 50%. And so it's like Razi said, like, this is the first time I can say, like, people went there educated, at least like on who they wanted. Like, they really paid attention to the candidate versus the party.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
that's fair.
And that doesn't happen often.
That's fair. Yeah, I would like to see this in 2024.
Exactly. I want to see. I hope people are starting to wake up, and that's just gonna become the norm, where people don't just kind of go party line.
Yeah, but it's not scary.
I'm not expecting.
Okay. I was gonna say we just left Halloween. We've seen the bad guy get shoot and stabbed and fall, and then right when you think it's over, you hug and they grab their leg. Trump ain't done yet.
Yeah, it's a sequel. The sequel is coming. That's gonna be very interesting in the next 2 years. I actually saw a interesting post, and this happens a lot, where black candidates don't win, and a lot of times you see the narrative about, well, black people didn't support and we dropped the ball. Like,
I'm so glad you brought this up.
And you don't see that a lot with other groups. And I have varying opinions about it, and I think it depends on how you look at the narrative. And I'm gonna get my opinion out first. I think that comment is misled. Yes. The only pushback I can see is when you look at the amount of registered voters who don't vote. So that's where the power lies. Because like, if you look in Georgia and you look at the majority, like the black voters, heavy Democrat across the board. I think black men might have been the worst, and they might have been 87% Democrat or something like that. So the people that are voting are doing what they're supposed to do. It's just, I think when I was looking at some stats from 2020 election, it was about 62 to 63% of registered black voters across the nation actually got out and voted. So that's where, compared to, I think it was close to 80 for whites and other groups. So that's the thing is, don't think that the people who are voting aren't doing their job. We just got to make sure more people are getting out and vote. But I know there's going to be some pushback on that. So,
well, and to that, you bring up something I wanted to touch on too. This narrative that it's dueling narratives, but they still attack the same group. One is I saw black men failed Stacey Abrams, and I pushed back wholeheartedly against that because one, black men showed up for Stacey Abrams, and it showed the numbers show that even the black men that voted for Kemp, if all of those black people had voted for Abrams, she still would have lost.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and then someone said, well, what you mentioned first, well, it's a lot of registered voters that didn't vote. I'm like, well, then you're assuming that they don't want to see Stacey Abrams win. And if that's the case, they would have came out and voted for Kemp to try to make sure she didn't.
Yeah.
Like, let's stop letting white people off the hook. And every time. So in 2008, when a lot of Republicans didn't show up, they said, oh, it's because they don't like their candidate. McCain is too, he's too in the middle. He's not right enough. And so they chose to sit on their vote. They're sending a message to the Republican Party. When black people don't show up, it's because we're lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're stupid. We gotta stop. And black people push that narrative more than anybody.
Yeah, and that's not what I was saying by any means.
No, I know that. Because I saw that in Alabama when Ivy got reelected for governor. Like, that's because we don't vote. I'm like, do you know where you live? Right, you're in Alabama.
Yeah, and the way I look at that is unfortunate. Unfortunately, we have to go above and beyond, and it shouldn't be that way. Right? It should be, if you don't want to vote, don't vote. If you vote your heart, vote what your mind tells you.
But going back, I don't like putting it on a group of people. I put it on the candidate because Warnock got those votes, right? When we talk about split ticket and everything, Warnock got those votes and Stacey Abrams didn't. And they talked about...
she got a higher percentage of black men vote than the Democrats in other areas of the country. In all the other elections, she got higher
because
percentage.
we aren't a monolith. So stop assuming all black people feel like they need to be a Democrat. It doesn't work that way. I'm totally fine with that 20-30% that said, hey, I gonna vote Republican. And I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't think they should, but it's their choice to do that. They something in their life is saying, there is something on their platform that I associate with and I agree with, and I'm going to vote that way. So whatever it is. But what I will say is we have to talk about Stacey Abrams and how I hate to say she was almost too black, but when you look at the voter outcome, what was it? She only got 30% of white women, right? Like, I feel like her campaign was probably too pro-black or too targeted there versus Warnock, who actually was big tent. I'm gonna reach across the aisle. I'm gonna, be moderate and everything like that. You got to know where you're at. You are in Georgia, right? You can't be like, oh, Wakanda forever in Georgia, because Stacey thought that Atlanta was she was gonna ride the coattails of Atlanta and in that area and get enough votes to outdo all the rest of Georgia. And you saw that didn't work. And Warnock didn't. Warnock said, I'm going and I'm going to try to flip some people. I want to work across the aisle. I want to make things happen, blah, 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 blah. Where Stacey Abrams didn't. It really comes down to her campaign didn't have as good of a strategy as Warnock's.
I see a lot of people think that Georgia is Atlanta. And talking to people today at work, I'm like, you realize in Georgia, there's Atlanta, and then the rest of the state is pretty much how you view Mississippi and Alabama.
Right.
Like that's it.
But that's every town, that's every state in the South.
Yeah,
I don't think people realize that.
Even in Pennsylvania. They said about Pennsylvania. Yeah, you got Philly, Pittsburgh, then the rest is Alabama.
Yeah, go look at Texas. And what's scary, and this is why, let's go back. This is why Florida was so dangerous and South Florida was so dangerous, because the Dems knew they were not going to get the rural areas. Never happened nowhere you go in the country. It's not going to happen.
They didn't even bother Pensacola.
So when you go into the metropolitan areas, that's your only chance. And once you lose those metropolitan areas, it's over. That's any state. And if you never have that metropolitan areas, the red states, go look at their major cities. They're and like Texas is so weird because I think it's always going to be, well, Texas is red, purple, red, blue, whatever you want to call it. Depends on what year or who's running. But because Texas has a lot of metropolitan areas, more than the average state, because you're going to have Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, even a large city like El Paso. So you have more places where there's you had the chance to win some of these votes. But these rural areas,
it's just like they talk about the Democratic base, or the Democrats base is educated white people, minorities, right? And that's where you really talk about. And the problem is that they're starting to lose some of the minorities, right? And so now it's like it's black people, and it's a 50-50 shot at Latinos or Latinas, and then you have educated people, like college educated folks. That's a slim majority. And it's hard to, not everybody's going to be. And that's why when you get in those more rural areas, you just don't see it.
Somebody was saying, man, we'll be all right when the boomers die. Because if you look at the age group.
Oh, yeah. Gen Z. And Gen Z voter turnout was huge, right? They were over 350% of what their norm or the average is. And so that is huge. And Gen Z and most young kids vote overwhelmingly Democrat. So
they have a congressman now.
Yeah, they're starting to make their push. And I was joking about that, but that's the thing. Like, if you start looking at the demographics, it's similar to the workforce, where the workforce is changing because millennials and Gen X are starting to be the majority. Actually, millennials are the majority of the workforce right now. Mm-hmm. Followed by Gen X and then Gen Z. Boomers are retiring, so they're influencing the workforce. Your job 10 years ago is not the same job it is now. Like, a business casual lunch is not, shirt. Nobody's wearing shirt and tie to, and suits to work anymore. You very rarely see that. And I say that because that's just the changing of the demographics. The thing about voters is these guys can vote well into their retirement. They might not be working, but they're voting. But as these people start to not become the majority anymore, because boomers vote.
Yeah.
They vote.
Well, older Americans in general, and that's silent generation voted when the boomers were younger, and now the boomers are doing it. Gen X is going to vote when the boomers die. And as people get older, it is where you start to see they start politics. Leaning more towards conservatism, because they want to conserve what they saw when they were younger, right? And everything.
The only thing about that is the people are. Yes, but I don't think we're going to want to conserve this. Our generation wants to change. The conservatives, when we're talking about the conservatives, I think of, and those boomers, I think about older white people.
The problem with that is a lot of times the younger generations want to change. The boomers probably wanted to change. Gen X wanted to change. But as they get older, they get set in their ways, and then they stop wanting to change. They don't want things to change.
They created the change. The world mimicked their views. So they had their views. They had what they wanted, and they want to keep it that way now because they changed it the way they wanted to. They molded the world the way they wanted to be, and now that they got it that way, they wanted to stay that way. We haven't had the chance to mold the world the way we want it to be, and so once the world starts shifting to our wants and stuff like that, and granted, the Zers and whoever, Generation Xbox, whoever comes after them, whatever that is, they're gonna say we're outdated and stuff like that, and it's still always gonna be a discord. But I don't know. I think our generations are a little closer than generations in the past. We enjoy more of the same music. We enjoy more of the if you look at X, millennials, and even Z, they can all be at the same concert. They can all do the same thing, but that's a whole nother conversation. So
I just, before we leave the topic, I just want to congratulate the third elected black governor, fourth overall black governor, Douglas Wilder of Virginia, Duval Patrick of Massachusetts, David Patterson, who was not elected but took over after Spitzer had to step down, and now Maryland has elected Wes Moore. So just the third black man voted as governor for a state in the United States of America. So congrats to him.
Yeah.
And you also have to wonder one more thing on the Republicans. Did that announcement of, hey, we're going to make abortion a national thing now, a national mandate, did that hurt them? Did they lose more women that they wouldn't have lost had they not announced that? Because I mentioned on this show a few episodes ago, at first they said, hey, it should be up to the states. And then bam, now we want the whole nation to follow.
Yeah. I mean, and they're still debating that, how big of a part abortion played in the whole elections. Because I think Dems were riding that train. Well, I'll let you know I'm disappointed. I was hoping Beto was going to knock it out. God doggone it, Abbott, Greg Abbott. This
Uvalde, what are you doing?
People don't vote for their best interests, man.
Seriously.
I wish people would just take more surveys and just realize how
I do think we got to be a little honest about Beto, though. Beto had that good showing against Ted Cruz, and I guess he thought, hey man, I came that close in a red Republican state like Texas. I'm on my way, not realizing that a lot of people like Ted Cruz.
Right.
So that's why you did so good. You ran for president and got washed. Now you ran for governor. Maybe time to find another angle.
Yeah. He needs to go be a political commentator or something like that. I don't think. And mainly it's because he wants to stay in Texas, right? I mean, he can go back and be a congressman if he's in the right district, maybe. With mayor, like that's the only thing I could think of. Find a gerrymandered district, move into it, and become a congressman. But because Texas may not be ready now, but I still think, like with all the cities that Ferg named, if the Democrats ever flip Texas, game over. Yeah, and I think for the Democrats to do that, they have to loosen their reins on their platform. They are trying to do a national platform instead of letting kind of, pockets these purple states or whatever. You need to be able to put a candidate that may be pro-life, right, in Alabama, because that question alone will kill you in Alabama. So you're probably going to have to find or be okay with a Democrat that's pro-life, but they align with all the rest of your platform. And you got to be okay with putting that person up if you want to be competitive here.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to, I think that's the problem there, that they just have to be a little bit more flexible in putting those strong candidates that have a chance there that may not align 100% to the national platform.
Yeah. And for the record, Florida is tied with New York for the third amount with 29 votes. Okay. California has 55. Texas has 38. Florida and New York have 29. And Pennsylvania rounds it out with 20. Just throwing it out there for the peoples. So like you said, if Texas can flip.
And they still should fight to get Florida back too, because I got to give Republicans credit. They did the groundwork in Miami, reaching out to Cubans and Latinos down there. And it has slowly progressed to where it's flipped now. So kudos to the Republican Party for doing what it takes.
Yeah. But like we said, they're better at politics than the Democrats are. They just are.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I mean, does anybody have anything else they want to do? I think we had a great opening session. Not much to talk about after that. Let's go ahead and kick it off with a Sophie joke.
Yeah, let's lighten this mood. Hold on one second. Let me go grab her.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
Hello,
Greetings, Sophia.
Greetings. We had some technical difficulties before we could start.
Okay.
We lost my ear.
You lost your ear?
Yeah, but it's
Did
right
you find
here
it?
now. Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
It's all good now. We got a really good joke for you.
Okay.
I believe you.
Yeah, we got a good joke.
By we, do you mean you and Daddy or you?
Probably just me.
Okay, then it's probably good then.
He helped me figure it out, though.
Uh-oh,
He helped me
Sophie.
find it.
You need to fly solo.
No, I like him. He's all right.
He's okay, just not a good joke teller.
What do you call two birds stuck together?
I don't know why Dodo came to my mind for a minute. I give up.
Do you give up?
I give up, Sophie.
Velcros. You guys will not get my joke.
I would have never got that one.
Ever.
Ever.
Like, never.
I never would have thought of that. We found it.
Yeah, I would have never got that. You know, I was trying.
Bye-bye.
Well done.
And we'll
Well
see
done.
you guys next week.
Okay.
We shall. That was a good one. Who wants to go first?
My question is about dating.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Very simply put, fellas, what do you think is hard
2
about...
weeks.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Delete that.
What do you think is hard about dating you?
I'll go first. I think the hardest part about dating me is time. Because I put so many other things before dating that making the time to date isn't a priority for me. And so, you know, we may go out this weekend and you're like, hey, let's go out next weekend, or let's go out, you know, some other time. And I'm like, I got this and this and this. And, you know, by the time I say, yeah, I'm good to go out again, it's 3 weeks later. Right. Or a month later. And so, because I'm not going out on the weekdays, probably because it's just hard finding babysitters throughout the week, that type of thing. So it's only on the weekends. And if it's soccer season or something like that, by the time I get off work, get the kids, we do family movie night on Fridays. That's our thing. So not going out then most nights. Soccer on Saturday, probably taekwondo. And at that point, I'm like, I'm tired from the week and everything else. And so it's hard to be like, yeah, let me go out and hang out Saturday night. And even if I do have somebody to watch the kids, or I send them off to their aunts or something, it's like, do I want, or do I have the energy to go out, or do I just want to sit on the couch for the 3 hours that I got to myself before, you know, the kids come back the next morning. So it's that. It's where dating, especially at this age, just doesn't make sense, or it's hard to find that time. So I think that's the hardest part about it. Because, I mean, once I get out on the date, I'm a pretty smooth cat. Like, you know, you're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy it and everything like that. And, the other thing that I'd probably say for me hard that's dating is that I talk all day, because I facilitate conversations and everything like that as a PM. So I'm not I don't want to talk on the phone. And women dating these days, they're like, oh, I don't want a pen pal is what they call it. Or I made a joke, like everybody that I come in contact with now, they're like, I'm dating with a purpose, and they're trying to get married and like get in serious relationships. I told somebody the other day, I was like, we go on a date or two, and now I got to text you every day like we go together. It's like they're trying to move so fast, and I'm like, I really ain't trying to move that fast like that. So that's another thing that's just like hard to date me. I'm not pressed. Yeah, I'm not pressed to be in a relationship.
So when you ask this question, because Razi's obviously in the dating scene again. So are you saying when I was single, or like to be in a relationship with me, what's the hardest thing?
Yeah, because that's how I was going to answer it. Like I think in two ways. Like if I were single right now, like what about me would be hard, and then kind of like specifically what Tabitha has to deal with.
Okay, so I'll answer both. When I was single, I think it's because, and it might kind of be both now, I just don't give in to social norms. So I'm never pressed to impress people. Like I'm fine being me. And if it's different from what you expect from a man who's trying to date you or whatever, you know, I'm not going to just, you know, I'm not going to say I'm not going to put out my best self. I think my best self is me. You know, a lot of times people say when you're dating, you show up with your representative. I've never thought about it until right now. I feel like you get Ferg from day one. Mm-hmm. Like either like me, love me, or hate me. You gonna get me from day one. And the thing about it is, even in a relationship, so even my life now, it's not that I'm not pressed. I mean, my goal in life is to make my wife and my family happy, but I love seeing Z happy. But I also don't give into social norms. I never want to fall prey to this is what everybody else is doing. This is what everybody thinks should be happening. And so I'm cool with defining our relationship with what works for us. And a lot of times that makes us challenge what the world thinks we should be doing. And so I think that's it can be difficult because there's no template for what I see or I want for my marriage or my relationship. So that could be frustrating because it's so much easier for me to be a yes man. You know, if something comes up and it's easy to just say, I always use the toilet seat up and down situation. Social convention says, social norm says the toilet seat goes down. I'm the person that says, I don't think there's a right or wrong way, because you got to lift it up. You got to put it down. I got to lift it up. Somebody got to do something. So we're not going to go in through life just saying that I'm wrong for not putting the toilet seat down. Now, because it makes life easier for you to put the toilet seat down, then fine. But what you're not going to do is come reprimand me if you walk in one day and the toilet seat is up, because there's no right or wrong way about it. I truly believe two things can be right and or wrong at the same time. You can put that on my tombstone. And I think if most people don't think that way, they think that the way they were taught is right. I challenge my thoughts and my upbringing and everything all the time. And so, hell, you never know what you're going to get with me, because I'm like, that's what I thought. But now that I think about it, that's not the right way to go about this, Tavares. So I'm always trying to improve myself and improve the situations around us, for better or for worse. You know, I'm not saying I'm always right by any means. I'm just saying I'm not just going to assume the world taught us the right way for everything. So buckle up.
You know, Ferg, you're one of the first people that I can think of that push back on happy wife, happy life. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you like,
I live by that.
Happy wife, happy life. No. I need to be happy.
The social norm says that, you know, right? It's so crazy. 'Cause I know dudes that are miserable. Like, let's be honest, but they want to be with the family. They just don't want to fight it. They've accepted their place in this situation of their marriage, and I'm like, no, like, why do you get to be happy and I'm just, you know, looking for happy moments? I want to be happy too. Like, I want to be happy just as much as you're happy. Do I not deserve to be happy as much as you're happy? Would you trade places? Oh, no.
First and mute.
I know I get in trouble with Tab every episode. Don't be listening to that shit Ferg be saying.
She says she doesn't know. She has to think about it. So you just want to shake your head in agreement or disagreement as I answer and see if you agree with that?
Is it because you're so swole?
So no. So here's what I think, because I do have a lot of flaws, but I try to be so self-aware that I work on them. Like I've mentioned, a temper that I've had back in the past, things like that. I think right now, and I don't know how much of this that she even notices, but she considers me the planner of the relationship, like of the family. Actually, I'm the planner, and I do a lot of the planning. So when it doesn't go according to plan, because we're running late because of people taking too long.
Circumstances.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the assist. Yeah, then I can be a bit, and I try not to let it show, but inside, I'm like, why are we running late? I don't understand. I told you what time. So, and for some people, it may not be that serious. Like, why does it matter if we get there on time or not? Like, as long as we get there, why is that such a big deal to you? So I can understand how to some people that's not a big deal, but for me, it does drive me crazy a little bit on the inside. I really am struggling to think, not that because I think I'm so dope. I'm really trying. I would also probably say Razio mentioned time. And so I remember, especially when I was doing the judging for boxing. So I was working extra overtime to try to save up for that BMW. So I was already doing that. Then I announced that I'm going to be doing this boxing. And that's going to be taking me like out of town, but not like to LA or nothing, but like, in Richmond or Newport News, Virginia, something like that. So, she got a little, because she's one of those women that she doesn't care about a lot of material things and things like that. She just likes spending time with me.
Yeah.
So
time
she kind of she rolls her eyes at the whole, I'm going to work overtime so I can get more money. And screw that money. I need you home.
She doesn't talk like that either.
Yeah. Sometimes hey, listen, she got a short tongue sometimes. Don't let the soft voice fool you, dog. So, but I, even with that, I've tried to compromise, and I definitely, I do the best I can, but it's hard for me to really answer. I really was trying to get her to come in here and answer, but as y'all can see, she doesn't want to. She hasn't shook her head in disagreement either, so I guess maybe she's noticed when the planning doesn't go my way.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Time, like I'm busy. Like I have the podcast, I'm in an investment group. I have my lamp lighters. I work a lot, and luckily I don't have to leave home and travel like I used to, but I'm busy, and so, she does, just like Tab, appreciate the time. And in my mind, my time is very valuable, and nothing's more valuable than my wife and kids. But at the same time, those other things like the podcast re-energizes me. It's always, what can I cut? What can I stop doing? I'm like, I don't think I would be me without those things. Those things help make me who I am. They help re-energize me. And with the being late thing, back to time, I get frustrated with it as well, because it's, why do you get to make me late too? Like that's what some of the social norms, like stereotypically women are always late and stuff like that. And so for me, it's, well, you knew when we had to go. You knew when we had to leave. You decided to, take your time and change outfits, and it affects me, and I'm wrong for being upset, but you're wrong to me. Like, you're just as wrong for not respecting my time and our planning and all this stuff as well. But we're supposed to, well, you know how women are. They're taking their time. You want her to look good, don't you? And all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you knew, because I tell Z, in your mind, it takes you an hour to get ready for anything. If we're going out by ourselves, it takes you an hour to get ready. If you're going out and we're bringing the kids, it takes you an hour to get ready. Like, it doesn't work. Like, an hour is not your magic number, baby. like, we can be sitting down, like, well, we're supposed to leave at 5. Okay, you got to take a shower? Yeah, I'm going to take a shower. Like, and in my mind, I get frustrated. So what I start doing, I start getting ready later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's the most frustrating thing is when you get ready and you're sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
And you're like,
the other trick is instead of telling her you're leaving at 5:30, start telling her we're leaving at 5 or 5:15.
So I only do that if like there's some place that is time essential. Yeah. Like we have to catch a plane or something like that. And Z, I love my wife because she's such an optimist on so many things. And because things work out, what's the problem? Like we literally got to the airport before and the flight got delayed. So that's the only reason we missed our flight. So see, we're rushing for nothing. No. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way.
You had me rushing.
Like she got it one time though. I think she got it. It was I think we were leaving for the funeral, my dad's funeral, and we had to get the kids ready, and we were booking. And I mean, I was playing. I'm in Houston traffic, couple of accidents, traffic, whatever, and everything that could happen happened. And so I basically dropped her off with the kids at the front, told her to get I'll go get the car parked. You just get through security and all this stuff with them. I'll meet you there. So we get there. I drop the car off. I'm booking it to the lady on the bus to get back to the terminal, arguing with the bus driver. He had like everything was going wrong. So I get there. Luckily, I have Claire and Preach-It because I know these things happen. So I get through. I'm running to the gate. Running to the gate. I got a full book bag on, all this stuff. Running to the gate. I get to the gate. They're getting ready to load. Great, we made it. Now I'm looking at them like 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the kid's diaper bag? Oh, it's at security. So I got to run back. Run back to the gate. Full book bag on. Run back, get the kids' book bag. So I'm pulling one. I'm ruck marching, right? I got one in the front, one in the back. Probably like 40 pounds on me, running back. Hot something. I get back, and there was the stewardess when I got on the plane. They were Mr. Ferguson. They're basically calling me. Like I'm one of those people. They call him and they loading everything. And when I got on, the stewardess looked at me. He's like, "Sir, you need some water?" Like, yes.
Which Houston airport were you at? Hobby or
IH?
Oh,
the big one.
Oh my God,
the big one. And so when I get on, Z knew it. Z knows me. She knew it was not the time to make any comments. Nothing. It was just like, because I was there. I was ready. I was ready. Like it was just like she didn't say nothing to me. She just pat my leg, rub my back, asked for another thing of water. I ain't probably didn't say nothing to her for the first 15 minutes of the flight. Oh man, I remember that. That had me. Ooh, boy, I was heated. You know how you look at them just because it had the kids, iPads, everything, and I'm just looking at her like you didn't know because we're rushing, and that's when you make mistakes, right? When you
yeah, that's true.
You gotta plan for all this kind of stuff. So
Hilarious.
Who's up next?
You can take it because I don't know if I want to ask this question. Well, I know actually I think I do because we're it's a political episode and so we kind of hinted on it in the opening and everything like that. But I want to flat out ask: is this the death of Trump and Trumpism?
No.
Simple answer.
Nah, man. Trump. I mean, unfortunately, until he's a movement. Trumpism is bigger than him.
Well, here's the thing. I think we do have a little bit of recency bias, but Trump has pretty much always been good at getting himself victories as far as politically. But like even when he was in office, the special election in Alabama, remember when he pushed the pedophile?
Yeah.
And he wound up losing to
Doug Jones.
A Democrat. Yeah, Doug Jones. An election that black people showed up for, by the way, especially in Birmingham. Shout out to B. Ham for that. But he has routinely picked candidates that have he's had some winners, but he doesn't always pick winners. It's his people are passionate about him. Now, if he says, hey, I want you to vote for them, they'll be like, whatever. But they're passionate about him. So as far as Trump, the candidate, no, he's not dead. But as far as him king-making other candidates, I don't know if the Republican Party is just going to 100% go along with it going forward.
Yeah, when you say that, it's actually a very rare situation. Like, speaking against him could be a death sentence. Being in his camp doesn't necessarily do anything for you. He actually said it like he felt like he should get all the credit if somebody won.
I saw that. Yep.
And none of the blame if they lost, which is just absolutely absurd. But I don't know. I don't until he stops running. Then no. But when I say I think he's a movement, I think he's taught some people who can deliver the message and seem less radical.
Like a DeSantis.
That's what I'm about to say. DeSantis is a spawn of Trump. He's Trump light, but he's way more polished.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're about to say something, Buff. No, I feel like his view, his delivery, you can't just say like DeSantis is a straight up idiot, even though he is. But it's just like, if you say that about Trump, people are like, yeah, that dude's crazy. Like you can't say those things and just make a blanket statement about him. He's still a politician. Trump was a politician. Trump was a charlatan. I think somebody who's a well-polished Trump can take Trumpism to a whole new level and be 10 times more dangerous. You know, the whole Florida's anti-woke, literally. Like that woke shit don't fly in Florida. You can't just kind of say who's ever campaigned against being woke. That's not even a campaign strategy. That's not even who talks about that.
Like, what does that even mean from a policy standpoint, right?
You don't need policies. So yeah. I don't think he's dead. I think his movement. Trump created a movement that other people can mimic, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, I think, and that's why I asked Trump and Trumpism. I think Trumpism isn't dead, and just like you said, you've got your DeSantises and those folks that can take it and spin it just enough, right, where it's palatable to the middle of the road folks, but still gets his base riled up. But I do think Trump is dead from a national platform. He can probably go into some areas, stay in the South, you know, in the rural areas, Midwest, that type of thing, and maybe get some sway. But like this threat of Trump running for president, I think is dead. I think he will run, but I don't think he'll get the nod now, because I don't think the Republican Party sees him as a viable candidate to be able to beat a Democrat. So I nationally, because there's too many pockets of folks that are and Republicans that are anti-Trump. And the independents are vehemently anti-Trump. And so when you start looking at it from just the numbers, I don't think Trump can win. And I think the Republicans know that. And so I do think Trump is dead from like any type of national platform. I think he'll still fly in. He'll target who he needs to talk to and pick candidates in areas that he can, you know, they'll use him in the areas that he will make a good impression or a bump. But I don't see him getting a nod for the next presidential candidate, especially after last night.
Does he hurt or help the Republican Party more?
I think he helps the party more if he stays in the areas that he helps. And because I don't think he hurts them in the areas, as long as they put a good candidate that can distance themselves from it and say, I'm not a Trump Republican. If they can do that in the areas that they need to, kind of what I was talking about with the Democrats, right? They can tailor their platform because Republicans are hypocrites. They don't care about being hypocritical. So they literally will have a Trump Republican saying one thing in one place and a moderate Republican in another place saying something totally opposite. And they do not care, where the Democrats do.
I think, like I said, he helps himself, but he hurts the Republican Party because they could have easily won this Senate seat in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see in the very same election, they reelected a Republican governor, but they looked at Herschel Walker, and even though, he still got 49.1% or whatever it was of the vote, at the end of the day, there was still enough voters that said, can't do that one. Can't do it. And so he messed it. Same in Pennsylvania with Oz. That's another election. Republicans could be easily looking at the Senate and the House primed to take over the White House in 2 years. But because they let him handpick candidates, they're looking at a thin majority in the House and it looks like minority for at least another 2 years in the Senate.
So him as a candidate, does he help or hurt? Do you think Trump could get reelected? I
think he can, and I think he helps because he turns out voters. Now, as long as he's not choosing the candidates, let the Republican Party handle that part, then he drives the voters to come out, and then they can do what me and Razi talked about at the beginning of the show, just vote up and down the ticket, Republican.
Yeah. Okay. I see the counter to that because I think if those black people that sat at home during the midterms, Trump get on the ticket, guess what they doing? They taking their to the polls. Like I think he brings his base who gets de facto default Republican votes, right? Because they're gonna vote down the ticket because if they're voting for Trump, they don't know politics. Point blank. It's just simple as that. Just simple as that.
Touché.
They just know the colors. I'm just assuming. But I think at the same time, he galvanizes the anti-Trumpers. Like, he's going to make those people come out. So, I don't know. I didn't think about him bringing his base and them just following his lead.
Because that's how he won last time. The Republicans just fell in line. They held their nose and hit Republican.
Yeah. Hitched his wagon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got time for one more?
I don't think so. We at 55 now by the time we close out because we didn't really stop much.
We had a hell of a political discussion, so that's like,
yeah. I appreciate you breaking it up with the Dayton one in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, let's go ahead and close it on out then.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
This episode is brought to you by Abercrombie. There's nothing better than the perfect jean and going out top combo, or an outfit that perfectly matches your plans. Abercrombie's relaxed jean goes with every occasion. Date nights with something lace, or daytime with a cozy sweater. And their barrel jean will surprise you. It's the trend that will become a staple in your wardrobe. Abercrombie denim comes in tons of rises, fits, and washes. Find your perfect pair online or in store.
We've done quite a bit of talking about, not just us, everybody did a lot of talking about Kanye over the last few weeks and the whole anti-Semitic and things about Jews. And Kyrie Irving, basketball player for Brooklyn Nets, kind of stepped in it as well. And he has, so initially I was like, the way he was answering the questions was kind of idiotic. If you want it to die down, the way he was answering it was kind of idiotic. And then I saw what the Nets were demanding of him in order for him to come back to the team. And I thought that was a little extreme. But this is the main point I want to make. For however wrong you think Kyrie Irving is, and I know a lot of people do, I know a lot of people don't, I think we all can agree, let me take that back. we don't all agree on anything. I think we all should agree that if the film that Kyrie Irving retweeted is so hateful and so vile and so anti-Semitic and just against the Jews, not excusing him, if that's what that film is about. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak educatedly about it. But if that's what it is, why is he the only one getting the smoke?
Yep.
Because it's on Amazon Prime. It's not on some rinky-dink stream. It's on Amazon. I ain't heard nobody call out Jeff Bezos. I ain't heard nobody call out Amazon or anything. So if the film is that vile, why aren't you criticizing them for even having it on there? They're the ones that's making money off of it. So again, not excusing if that's what the film is about, because I don't even know. I'm just going by all the comments and things I'm saying. Kyrie shouldn't be getting all the smoke.
You know what? I think, and when you say that, I think I might have seen it, but I think it's coming from our camp. We're always the people boycotting. I know I've seen boycott the NBA, boycott, of course, talk about boycotting Twitter, but with the Kyrie specifically, I think I've seen people talk about boycotting Amazon, but it's coming from our camp. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like the Jewish community is mad at Amazon. It's us being mad at Amazon for almost setting up Kyrie or not defending their data or what they have. It's for whatever reason, unless we're boycotting Amazon for another reason, I'm not sure. But that's the only thing I can connect it to. And it's like, why are we the only people that's always boycotting? I think is that if boycott are the default setting for when we're pissed?
Now, wait a minute now, for those New Balance all white sneaker wearing white people, they boycotted Nike when they signed Kaepernick.
Oh, that is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. So, like, you made a point. Like they're boycotting. They just wanted Kyrie. That's all they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can't remember.
The list of demands are crazy too.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. One of the anchors on ESPN kind of came out and he had a video and he was like, I don't agree with what he did, but what I can't get in line with is what they're trying to do to him. And he was kind of liking it to kind of like buck breaking type thing, where it's like, we're gonna make an example out of him. But when Don Imus says, nappy headed hoes, or other folks say stuff that's anti-black or whatever, or racist, nobody, the NBA doesn't come out and be like, oh, well, they need to give $500,000 to, some, black charity or something like that. And I agree with them. I think, what was that last episode or the episode for last? And we were talking about the response needs to be reciprocal or relative to what happened. And I really do think the response that they're trying to ask of Kyrie is way too much for a tweet. Now, granted, it's Kyrie, and Kyrie has put his foot in his mouth multiple times, and maybe they're just tired of him doing that. And so they're like, look, this is your third offense. We going all out. You got to do this. And it might be a way of them kind of not necessarily buck breaking, but breaking Kyrie to be like, you can get out of the league. Like, we got you in the contract, but maybe they're like tired of that. And so that's why they're giving him such high fines. I don't know the inner workings of it, but what I will say is that it doesn't look like the punishment fits the crime in this case.
I also don't like the images of people. There's a very popular one where people are showing, it's about 6 or 7 NBA players, and it has Kyrie hanging from a noose.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And it has the other NBA players turning their back on them, and like LeBron is one of them. Instead of Lakers, it says like fakers or something like that. One of them has like lame, basically calling them sellouts, and that they're turning their back on Kyrie. Let's not. See, this is why we need movies like the Teal movie, because y'all trivialize what this multimillionaire is going through and comparing it to black men who were really lynched. And I'm not talking about something that happened 200 years ago. There is a PBS documentary called The Last Lynching in our hometown, Mobile, Alabama, 1981. Not that long ago. Shouldn't be comparing that to lynching, but
Byron, that was the 1900s, man.
That's my piece, man.
Well, according to these kids, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I had I actually got a chance to go and speak to Sophia's school, Sophia and Ollie's school, for Veterans Day. They had a Veterans Day program, and they invited me to speak. And I made a joke about that. I was like, when I joined the Army back in the 1900s, and everybody was like, and they thought it was the funniest thing ever. But they're also elementary kids, so. But I'm funny, so I get why they laughed at me or laughed with me. I'll say that. That's probably a better way to put it. But no, my kind of closing. I wanted to thank the school. I wanted to just thank Deer Valley for inviting me to speak at the Veterans Day program. And this episode would drop after Veterans Day, but we're recording before. So I do want to say happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. And my hat's off to everybody who has served and is serving. So that's all I got, man.
All right, appreciate it. Mine will be short and sweet. November 9th is my, I guess I wouldn't even say just my favorite day. It's like probably the most special day of the year for me, because two of the greatest accomplishments in my life happen on this day. Or not even accomplishment, just situations happen on this day. 21 years ago, I entered Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, November 9, 2001, as a part of the Q17, greatest line ever. And 7 years later, because it was my line anniversary, I happened to be hanging out with my line brothers and other brothers, and I was introduced to the love of my life. So on this day, 14 years ago, I met my wife. So because those two dates lined up was the reason I was able to be where I'm at today. If I would have crossed a week earlier, a day earlier, I probably wouldn't have been out there that day, and I would have never met Z, and I'd be in a whole different world. So November 9th, holds a special place in my heart. Once again, Rising kind of hit on it. Happy Veterans Day. I will be attending a veterans thing at my daughter's school. She's asked me every day, am I attending? It's funny, she didn't even know I was a veteran until last year. And she's like, Dad, do you know any veterans? And we had that conversation, and she was so happy and proud all at the same time. And so I want to say happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, to all the men and women that served, Hooley, Murder, Marquise, Sherman. Who am I missing?
From our group, I think that's it. From SWAT and the smaller groups.
Yeah, and to all the bros who served, and to everybody that served, happy Veterans Day. Enjoy your day. For all you people that go to your Waffle House and Ruby Tuesdays and Bennigan's and wherever y'all get your free meals, enjoy your day. Because I know my dad has a day plan full of places he goes. He knows all the spots. So with that being said, 3 brothers, no sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. See you next week.